Hi YouTube friends, it's Anna, and in this video I am going to talk about social anxiety. That is my intention for this one. But like I said to one of my subscribers, David, yeah, I need courage to make this video. And he kindly offered me to share his courage with me, send it across the Atlantic Ocean, but I don't think that will work. I think it has to come from myself, actually. So thank you for offering that, but I think I will have to do with the courage that I have myself. And today I am doing again this method where I don't prepare anything. Like I didn't write anything down, or I did not create any kind of structure of how I'm going to make this video work. Because I did that in the last video I recorded. That one, I will put a link in the corner for you so you can watch that, because I am really happy with that video and I think it's a really important one to understand, like, the message behind what I am doing, I think. Yeah, in that video, that was the first time I tried working without that structure, improvising, and it actually turned out to be like the best performance that I have given in a video so far. So even though that's super scary to me, because then I'm just like completely dependent on whatever is coming out of my mouth in the moment, and it's worse for performance anxiety, I think actually the result is going to be better. So let's get to the point of this video. I am an INFJ, if you don't know that. So I felt like putting this video also in the perspective of the INFJ archetype, because I know it is really appreciated by the people on YouTube. Yeah, like to see this MBTI content, like literally my MBTI related videos, they score much better than my other videos, and it's, I think, like the reason for that, like the reason that I appreciate, I think is because like the videos that I'm making, they're always a bit about like recognition. Like I'm telling my experience of what it is like to be me, the kind of things that I went through, and the idea behind it is that you can recognize yourself in it. And like this whole MBTI thing, it really adds another layer to that, because if you are into this MBTI thing, then you know like how relatable it actually can be if you find out your type and you find people that are really similar to you. So like putting it into the perspective of what it's like for an INFJ, and like letting people find my videos through that, I think that's really cool. Yeah, because the recognition in what I'm saying, and like maybe also how you can learn from that, is a lot more if you feel like it applies to you specifically as well. So yes, another MBTI video. Still, it's also absolutely fine to watch, I think, if you don't know anything about MBTI, because it's not technical stuff. So I'm going to be talking about my experience with social anxiety as an INFJ. So I am very active on Facebook, in some groups, specifically one of them, the C.S. Joseph public group, which I'm also a moderator in since 1 month. And why I'm bringing this up is because I have made videos in that group before, where I was talking about my experience with social anxiety. And like those videos, they were so spontaneous and inspired in that moment, because I had this like realization suddenly of how it all worked within me and within the world. So like making this video on YouTube, I think the intention kind of comes from recreating that video, like the desire to do that. But I also realized that that's going to be impossible, or like recreating something that happens spontaneously is not going to be very high quality, I would say. So instead, I have decided to share this one video that I posted most recently on that Facebook group that I want to share with you for this video, like talking about social anxiety as an INFJ, and like just show you the real original deal. So let's get into that. Hello, here is a spontaneous video from your INFJ. And I did not think beforehand about what I wanted to say. So, exciting stuff. So, there has been something on my mind recently. And it's related to social anxiety again, because that's a big issue. It's also related to the feeling of loneliness. And it's related to something that, like, is bothering me in general in my interaction with people. So, the thing with me is that, like, even with some of my friends, I don't feel safe enough to say, like, anything that is on my mind, because there's so many things in my thoughts that are socially unacceptable, basically. And yeah, sometimes I'm just scared to show like every part of myself to people. Well, not sometimes, but like often. And with people that I know less well, that's more obvious and makes more sense, and maybe it's not as much of a problem. But with people that are like my friends or family, it really bothers me, and it creates a kind of dynamic that makes me very unhappy. Because, sorry, this is my morning voice. Because I feel like I can't show my, like every part of myself, every thought that I have. It creates a dynamic of loneliness, I think. Because I'm kind of creating the situation where I feel like nobody really understands me, nobody really gets to see the true me, because I'm scared to show some things that are in my mind. And yeah, I was reflecting on that just while I was doing household chores. Just like in the shower, that's one of the best moments to deeply reflect about your life. And I felt like it would be good to like record it in some way, written or video, and maybe even share it with people to like kind of capture that thought more. Because like with SE inferior, SI demon, it's so easy for me to forget things. Like if I have wonderful revelations, I will just like forget them again after a while. That kind of sucks. So I'm hoping that if I'm like sharing it with other people, that will help in like holding on to the thought. So I've been talking about that, like what I was saying about being scared to share some of my thoughts with people. I was already talking about that with my ENFP mom. And she and I think another person as well, kept asking me, what are you actually afraid will happen if you say these things? And I'm just like, I don't actually know. I don't actually know. Like, rejection, maybe. I don't know. It's just like, it just scares me. But it got me thinking about that. Like, what am I really afraid of in sharing my thoughts? Like sharing these socially unacceptable things. What would happen if I did that? And I think the problem is that I kind of don't believe that I will be able to take the hits from the consequences of being completely honest. And like rationally, as an adult person, I actually do think I will be able to take those hits, especially if I consider like my ESTP subconscious, like it is made for taking hits, and it's like, the gladiator archetype. So taking hits is nothing for an ESTP, and also the ISTJ superego would also play into that. I'm kind of not so completely matured in that thought, like that thought isn't mature completely. But why do I believe that I won't be able to take the hits then? Where does that feeling come from? And I realized it was because of my childhood, that it is a kind of trauma, as people like to call it. Because as a child, I have been in situations where I was not accepted for who I was. Maybe just for the reason of being an INFJ and not fitting into like the SJ narrative of what a person should be like. And I was like, explicitly judged for that by some adults and like really misunderstood. And that feeling of not being accepted as a child, it was so painful and so unsafe. So I think it's the memory of that of those painful situations in my system that make me so scared to reveal myself to other people. As I think as a child, you have less ability to deal with things that happen to you because you're kind of a victim to whatever adults decide to do with you. And like there's like a power dynamic basically, and adults, they know better than you, that kind of stuff. So if adult people tell you that there's something wrong with you, then it's kind of hard not to believe that. Of course, not everybody in my environment didn't accept me, but like in the situations where that did happen, it had such, like, those were such painful experiences. And I feel like that's still in my system. So anyway, what I want to do now is I want to experiment with what will actually happen if I am like showing these parts of myself, speaking out these thoughts that seem less socially acceptable, Because like the essence is, there are these things I actually want to say. I feel like in order to be honest to myself, I would have to say these things. Yeah, I hope to do some experimentation that I will actually say these things that I think to people that are closer to me especially, and I think it will make me happier in the end, because like I said, it feels very lonely to not be able to like reveal every part of myself to people that are close to me. So I hope that I can get through this fear and like trust that I'm strong enough to deal with the consequences. And I think I can get a lot of more satisfaction out of social interactions in this way. So there you go, that was my random ramble that I came up with that I felt like sharing with you. Have a nice day. Okay, we're back to react to this video and to put it in some context. So I was talking about this trauma that I had from my childhood. I think a lot of INFJs had a pretty tough childhood. Like, that seems to be a thing. So, yeah, maybe you might recognize yourself in that. But I think it already is a tendency that INFJs have, like this fear of rejection, and like feeling different than other people. But having that negative childhood experience of not being accepted, it really makes that a lot worse, I think. So in this video, I was talking mostly about one specific aspect of my social anxiety, which was like being afraid of showing myself completely and being completely honest. So that's one really important part. And like it is all connected, but there is another aspect that is definitely present. And that is the social anxiety that comes more with performance anxiety. And like what happens in situations is that I'm constantly worrying in a social interaction if I am saying enough to the other person, if I'm initiating enough in the conversation, and if I am initiating the right subjects. Because I always feel kind of responsible for the conversation, because I care so much about how the other person is feeling and what kind of experience they are having in the conversation. So I feel like if it's not going well, I feel completely responsible for that. And yeah, so that results in having thoughts of I'm not saying enough, I'm not saying the right things, I'm not asking the right things. And this whole like thought process is very crippling in the conversation itself. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So by thinking those thoughts, I become very focused on like negative things, and then it actually feels like I can't do it anymore. So that's really destructive. And I can't make such a beautiful, rounded off story and intention of that as I did in that video. Like, I had such an inspiration in that moment. I was like, this is what I need to do, and I need to make a video about it so I will remember. And I really like that video. I made it mostly for myself, and I felt like sharing it with other people too, to maybe share that inspiration that I had in that moment. And another thing, like with social anxiety, is that it's really depending on the moment how it is manifesting itself. Like, I've had moments where I was so like outgoing and happy to talk with strangers, and I'm not really a party animal, but even party and have fun. Um, and then there are moments where I even feel uncomfortable talking with the people that are closest to me. So social anxiety is just a bit like random like that. It's not really random, but like maybe to the outsider it doesn't make so much sense as introversion, extroversion, and shyness do. Yeah, so that's that. And the main thing that plays into how my social anxiety is manifesting, or like how bad it is, it's influenced by external feedback. If I get a lot of positive external feedback for a longer time, and that can be like literally appreciation or having really enjoyable conversations where I felt comfortable, like having things succeed, that's like all positive external feedback. And like if I get a lot of positive external feedback, I am really not going to be bothered by social anxiety that much at all. But in the moments where I get a lot of negative feedback, or sometimes even just not that much, but like enough negative feedback to get like in the downwards spiral, then yeah, then the social anxiety gets really bad. So it's kind of hard for me to explain this positive and negative feedback thing, but like I explained in the INFJ video, that most popular one that I made, INFJs are very external, so they are particularly sensitive to this external feedback. And if an INFJ has social anxiety, it's really going to be easily influenced by whatever is happening around them and whatever feedback they are getting from the people around them. But yes, social anxiety is an ongoing topic for me. It's not something that I am cured of, although I have seen a lot of improvements. And yeah, I'm really working on that internal stability at the moment. And I'm also really working on the attention that I set in that video, although I think I have to watch that video many, many times to remember, because it's so hard to focus on that. Yeah, so I think the best part of this video was the video that I shared from the Facebook group, because that was like really authentic and in the inspiration of the moment, and I just provided some like context and like additional information to that. That was kind of my intention for this video. So I hope you may find some understanding from this, understanding for yourself if you are an INFJ, or maybe you are an INFJ and you don't know it, which might be the case if you recognize yourself so much in this. Or maybe it will help you understand other people better, which will also be amazing. Like, I don't think you need to be an INFJ necessarily to recognize yourself in this social anxiety thing. Like, I met an INFP once. She became a friend of mine, and she also had social anxiety, and it was so amazing to talk about that experience, because finally you find somebody that understands like these difficult things that you are experiencing, because they seem so absurd in your head. There's kind of a dissonance between what is happening inside of you and what is happening externally. So it was really healing for me to hear somebody else say that. And I think for her it was different how she experienced that, but still it was really useful for me to hear that. So I hope it was useful to you. Please like this video if you liked it, and leave a comment about like whatever you want. What you thought about this video or about your experience with social anxiety as an INFJ or as another type. Yes, I would love to read the comments. I always enjoy reading them, and I will reply to them often. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I post every 2 weeks. So see you in the next video. Bye.